You're watching Morning at NTV.
Good morning and welcome back to Everyday Life. My name is Idris Matu and today is Money Tuesdays, where we talk about money, how you can improve your investments and more and live a better life. Now, today I have a different financial literacy coach, Mr. Daniel Joloba. You are welcome.
Thank you, Idris. Good morning.
Is this your first time on TV?
No, I've been on TV several times.
Therefore, you are a star.
No, I'm not a star.
This is everyday life for you.
You can say it's everyday life, but but it's an interesting.
So tell us about yourself.
I'm a business development expert. I run several companies in this country. I'll mention a few of them, but right now I'm concentrating on one that is into agro-processing called Raboni Group. We do value addition for agricultural products in the country. But I also run a microfinance institution called Big Finance, and I'm also into long-haulage transportation in this country.
So we are in safe hands.
Yes, you can say so.
All right, perfect. Yeah. So on Money Tuesdays, we always talk about different topics on how we can help the viewers improve their businesses and make better strategic investment decisions. Now, today, we are talking about the questions you have to ask before you invest your money. I have my little money, I have saved for some time, I want to invest in a business. What are these questions that I have to ask myself before I actually say, this is the money I've saved and I'm investing it in?
Idris, I'll just make a summary of some of these questions that a person must ask themselves before they take their hard-earned money to invest in a business venture. I'll call these due diligence questions that a person must ask. Now, this is a very critical skill for any business person. Business is not gambling. Business is like warfare. And you go in knowing that you can actually earn money, but you can also lose money. But a proper businessman goes in with the mindset that they are going to protect their money first. If you put in your money, your first question should be, how do I get my money back? That's the first question you should always ask. And then you'll start thinking of, how do I get a return on my money? So these are the questions that a proper businessman should ask themselves. And I'll start with the first one. How can I lose money with this investment? If you're going to invest money, that's the question you should ask. Don't just say, I'm going to earn money. You should also ask yourself, how can I lose money with this investment?
Because the possibility of losing money is higher than actually earning
is actually higher. Remember, there are people out there who are always waiting to grab a piece of your money. They are just waiting for a very small window of opportunity to see how can they crack your head. So if you are the person who has saved your money and you want to invest it, you need to ask yourself, how can I lose this money if I invest it? Now, that is going to point you to different areas. For instance, if you are going to invest in land, somebody brings you, say that there is a big piece of land here. A proper person, before you pay money, you should ask, how can I lose money if I invested in this land? Therefore, you are going to do searches. You are going to find out the authenticity of this land title. You are going to find out if there are no quarrels along this line, if there are no family wrangles on this land. Those are things that you must ask yourself. But if you are the amateur investor, somebody brings you land and says, this is the best deal that I've ever seen in the last century, you will put in your money, and before you know it, it goes up in the air. Recently, I was reading in the press, I won't mention the name, of a prominent person who actually
lost money.
And I said, these are people who should know better on what to do. How do you put 100 million on land you have no clear information about? How do you do that?
So in other words, the research has to be done.
The research has to be done first before you put even a single coin.
But you know also that brings a predicament whereby we have told so many people on this show, and especially on Money Tuesdays, that you have to act fast. So for example, the land is available and somebody tells you it's available for this window, or 1 month, 2 months. If you don't act during that period, you lose it. So what do I do if I don't have enough time to do research?
Idris, I tell you, there are thousands of opportunities in this world. Nobody should ever rush you in taking your hard-earned money and investing it before you are sure where you are putting it.
but for how long, Daniel?
You see, I can't predict here, say that you are going to plan forever, you are going to research forever. No, that's not the point I'm making. But you must ask some very basic questions. For instance, like the example I was giving you, you are going to purchase land. What does it cost you to pay 25,000 shillings to do a land search? But you are going to rely on the word of a dealer who is spending his time on the street waiting for another buyer to tell you that I know this land. And you know what do you do? You trust this person. And when it backfires, this person disappears without trace. You can't find them. What did it cost you? What would it cost you to actually go to the land ministry and do a proper search? What would it cost you to actually do some questioning around the village? What would it cost you to actually ask around some family members?
To be sure of what
just to be sure. So that's the question you always need to ask yourself. How can I lose money? And once you ask that question, believe you me, you are going to get different pointers.
So this doesn't matter if it's a big business or a Rolex counter that I want to start up.
It doesn't matter.
You have to research.
You have to ask that question.
And know
the basics around that environment in which you are going to invest.
Well, it's like dating somebody. You have to ask about who
of course. Yeah, of course. You can't just find a girl on the street and say that I'm marrying you the next day. Yeah.
Well, what's the other question that I have to ask myself?
The other question that you need to ask yourself is, how do I get out of this if I've entered? That's the exit strategy.
Daniel, how do I get out of this?
Let me tell you, no business venture should be a marriage encounter. You know, when you get married, you stay there. Now, when you enter business, you should also ask yourself, how do I get out when things actually go tough? I'll give you an example. There's a gentleman who was running a certain business in this country, and things were going on well. But then he started realizing some indications that things are going to be a little bit tighter down the road. And somebody came and offered him some money. He realized, I need to go out. Why should I keep inside here? Now, certain people get married to their businesses. They feel they can't leave this business. They feel they put emotions on this business. Businesses are never to be mixed with emotions. If it doesn't work, feel free to walk out. That's perfectly okay. It's standard business. People sell businesses all over the world. I'm sure you've heard about somebody saying that I'm selling businesses. Yeah. There's a big company here in the country which is part of the Africa-wide group of millers that actually just sold out last year to another big company. So but they are making profits. But so for them, they had already read the signs that probably it's going to be a bit tighter for them. And they went out.
So in other words, this is the exit strategy.
That's the exit strategy.
Does it apply to employees? Because I'm sure so many of our viewers who are watching right now are employees and not business owners. And they are asking themselves, should I be thinking of an exit strategy?
I'll talk to the employees on a different day, but I'll just give you a highlight.
Okay.
When you get a job, the first thing you should ask, how do I get out of here? And when do I get out of here? Now, you find people, if they lose their jobs, their world basically crumbles. They absolutely had no clue on what to do if that job went away. Now, that is a person who absolutely had no exit strategy. If you went into the job and you are being paid a salary, the first question you should be asking yourself, how do I maintain my standard of living with or without this job? Now, when you have that inside your mind, you are going to put your money in things that are going to give you an income even without this job. Now, most people, and I talk this with a lot of certainty because I've seen so many employees basically crumbling to their feet. They lose it when they just lose a simple job that was paying them probably 1 million shillings. How do you do that? How do you lose your mind because you've lost actually 1 million shillings? It just comes back to the simple thing that you never planned your exit, even in the first place. So for the very first day, the moment you enter into that job, the question that should go in your mind, how do I get out of here? If you do that, you are going to start thinking of ways to channel your money in different areas. You've seen employees basically crashing all their salary. As soon as the month ends, they are broke. So and as soon as they enter the next month.
Going back to the business investment, I have invested money in this business, but now I have to plan of an exit strategy. Isn't this going to affect my commitment?
It can't affect your community. The thing it does, I'm not saying that every business you start, you should run out of it. No, that's not the question. That's not the point I'm making. I'm making this so that if things are really, really tough and you've seen that there is no way out of this, you will have the candor and calmness to leave this business with your head held high.
But when do you know that it's really bad? Because when you have an exit strategy and at the back of your mind, you know that at any time I can leave. Yeah. What if things just get bad? Let's say 10%.
Okay.
Won't somebody feel like, no, things are bad. I need to run. Shouldn't there be a level of commitment to say that until things are 90% bad, that's when I can give up on this?
I can't give you a straight answer to that, but every business will have their own indications.
So it's up to you, the investor, to
There's a person
regulate.
who will actually move out when the business is actually doing excellently well, and that's the best time actually to do that, because you are not even begging anyone to take your business. You say, I have my business, it's doing well. If you want to buy it, I can sell it to you. It's like you have purchased a certain house, and you still have the house. You are not in a hurry to sell. You can actually sell it at your own price. I'll give you the example. There's a gentleman who purchased over 30 tons of rice. He stored them. Remember when rice disappeared, I think some 2 years back, and then the government said you can import in rice. So he went and bought from one of the importers and stored 30 tons. Now he was speculating that the price will continue going up. And then you know what happens? Weavers come and attack all this rice. He looked at it and he knew his money was going up in the air. He had to cut his losses. He said, you know what? I can't keep this rice anymore one more day. He sold it at cost price just to get out. He says, I lost all the logistical arrangement money, the transportation money, but at least I brought back the money which I invested in the what? In the business. That's the question that a businessman should always be having.
Should always be asking. Well, if you have just joined us, today is Money Tuesdays, where we talk about money. And today, we are giving you the hard questions you have to ask yourself before investing money in any business. And some of them are, when, how can I lose money from this investment, or my exit strategy? Now, Mr. Daniel, what are the other positive, more hopeful questions that I have to ask myself? Because all these are like the hard questions, and probably not so many people will want to first go there. But again, you are the financial literacy coach, you're the professional. These are the questions that we have to ask yourself. But what are some of the other positive, more hopeful questions?
Well, I can't say it's hopeful. All of these are actually hopeful questions because they are geared to help the investor not to lose their money.
Yeah.
Because that, whenever you are protecting yourself, that's a hopeful question.
A hopeful question.
If I was saying how to lose your money, then you do the exact opposite of what I'm talking about. So the other question is that I need to talk about, does this investment pass the common sense test? You see, common sense is not exactly common.
True that.
You find people saying that I'm going to invest in such and such a particular product, and within 1 week I'm going to get 100% return. In which economy? Where are you investing that money? But you see it all over the place, and you find well-schooled people making mistake after mistake every single day. We've had Ponzi schemes here in the country, but people keep on making the same mistake over and over again, and you ask yourself, why don't people learn? What's the problem? They are not applying basic common sense. Who can convince you? You find a person coming and telling you, okay, if you invested in so many containers, 40 containers, you are going to double your money within 2 weeks. The question you should ask him, how many containers do you import
Have
yourself?
you invested?
You'll find the person telling you, no, for me, my role is to advise.
Hey, why?
Why are you advising me? Why don't you go and make that same money? So the same thing comes to the Ponzi schemes. People come and tell you how you are going to get these ridiculous returns on money. Put in 1 million, you are going to get 3 million within 1 week. And you find a person without basic common sense putting their hard 1 million, and it goes up in the air, never to be seen again. That's a person who never applied this question. Does this make common sense? So,
but you see, again, Mr. Daniel, someone will argue and say that the best teachers are not necessarily doers, and the best doers are not necessarily the best teachers. I'll tell you that if I sat Bill Gates where you are sitting, he might actually not be able to give me the advice that you're giving me, breaking it down, but he's one of the wealthiest men in the world. So when you say that somebody can't teach because they haven't done, someone will say, no, it's possible for somebody to actually teach me what I'm supposed to do. Because look at our teachers. They taught us to be whatever we are, but they are not that. So,
let me tell you, Idris, the teacher is not supposed to make you. The teacher only facilitates you. At the end of the day, it is you who decides to be what you are. And I'm sure when you are in your class, you had a category of students who are extremely very bright. You had mid-level students, and probably you had those who were really struggling. But you can find that the person who probably was struggling didn't understand what even the teacher was teaching is actually doing much better in life. Was it the problem with the teacher? Or was it a problem with the student? And you find a student who was an A-class student probably surviving on basically basics just. So the question is not about the teacher telling you. At the end of the day, it's about you, the individual. The teacher can only do so much. You, the individual, has to take the hard decisions at the end of the day. And that also applies in business. I can tell you with a lot of certainty, if Bill Gates sat in this chair, he'll tell you the same questions. Bill Gates is not a person you are going to convince to go into Ponzi schemes. He'll just laugh at you.
So in other words, you have to look at the investment and give it a common sense test.
Exactly.
Does this make sense? Does it not?
Ask the
not
person.
To be excited about the possibilities.
Don't be excited. There is nothing that should excite you about a business prospect. Just keep your calm. Keep your composure. A person comes, sit them down and ask them these questions. Now let me tell you, people who are looking to steal your money won't like to be asked these questions.
Don't ask.
You are over asking.
Do you want it or not?
Exactly. They never want to be asked those kind of questions. And you find it, they run away. Look around the tested businessmen we have in this country. If you went in, they'll take you through a series of questions. Do you know what keeps them in the business? These kind of questions. These kind of questions. Yeah. But you'll find an amateur person, they are losing money, they go to borrow money, they lose it. They go to borrow from a friend, they lose it. They go to borrow from the parents, they lose it. And they keep on making the same mistakes.
And you live in a circle of just losing money over and over again. Well, time has run out for us today, and we have been giving you the few questions that you have to ask yourself before investing in any business. And one of them is,
does it make common sense?
Does it have it pass the common sense test? Number 2,
how do I get out of this? What is my
exit strategy? And
how can I lose money with
this investment? I lose money? Well, ask yourself those questions before you put your money anywhere in any sector. Well, Mr. Daniel, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Idris.
I hope to continue this conversation probably next week. Every Tuesday we discuss money. And if you want to continue the conversation, go to our website, which is www.ntv.co.ug, or look out for our social media platforms. Look out for Morning at NTV or NTV Uganda, or you can talk to me directly. Just look out for Idris Matu. That is spelled EDRISMATU. Tell me what you want to see on the show. Tell me what the lovely financial literacy coach would answer for you. And probably you're struggling here and there. We shall help you sort out yourself. Well, coming up is Mwasuza Mtia. Have a very good morning.